Hello to everyone, this is the moment has arrived. This is the end. You will see the end of this non-metallic metal. I hope you have enjoyed all the process and I hope you will enjoy seeing this video tutorial, and please, I would like to enjoy watching your miniatures because I know will be like this or better. So I would like to explain you again how to use the airbrush to blend over this miniature. Please take care. Please paint slower than you thought, because sometimes you try to paint super fast and when you paint with your airbrush you have to paint slower. Why? Because you can paint with 17 layers. Super easy glazes with the airbrush. If you want to say cappy glazes, you can do it. But remember, please take a look on the paper. This is the kind of dilution I use. If you have doubts, questions, if you are worried about, I don't know well if I used a perfect dilution, please add more water or thinner, because it's better if you paint with 20 layers than when you paint with 1 or 2 and then you make a mistake and you don't have possibilities to fix it. You will come back to use the brush to fix it. So now you have your miniature 90% done. Please take care and paint slower. If you see on the trigger you have here on this video tutorial, you can see how I use the trigger. I pull down, pull back and pull front. This is a trick to blend, create a glaze and then dry the surface. Why I explain that? Because sometimes you will ask me, oh, I have problems with the spiders. One trick to fix the spiders will be flow the spider to a down part or an area where you have a dark or shadow, because then you will blend over it with a darker color. This is a trick. And another trick to don't make spiders will be when you paint with one layer and you see something glossy, the surface is wet. So please dry first, then paint with a new layer. You have two options. One of these will be dry with the airbrush, just flowing air, and then use your hair dryer to dry the surface. If you use hot air, you will get a matte surface. This is a cappy tip. So if you want to have something matte, use the hair dryer directly to get this. But if you want to paint faster, I recommend the trick with the trigger. Paint, moving back, and dry, moving to front. Just that. And if you see, I've painted so close to the miniature, trying to aim well. But the trick will be first think about what kind of angle I have to use, because the angle is the most important trick when you paint with airbrush. Because if you try to aim all the time, maybe it will be super hard to do it, because you will blend the mid-tone, shadows and lights. If you search first the angle, will be easier because the mistakes will be slow. Here you can see how close to the miniature I paint. And take a look at the trigger. If you see, sometimes I use different colors to create different tones. Why? Because I want to represent the first. I want to blend over this, because sometimes you don't like the brush strokes and you want to have a blend surface. This is a trick. But if you mix with different colors, you can create different mid-tones and different shadows. Some moments, if you change the color, if you have, for example, you'll see on that miniature some parts where I paint over a yellow with a blue. Sometimes will be to reinforce the reflection about the turquoise, and in some parts will be to create something like green, because this blue over yellow, the result will be green and will work as mid shadow. New trick. And now something super deep. Okay, this is a spider and this is how you have to paint. Remember, first test over a paper. Check the trigger. If you see, I don't blend everything with the same color because I want to blend midtones with one color, maybe a mid shadow with different colors, and then when I want to reinforce some shadows, I use different colors. If you blend everything with the same color, then you will remove some layers. To won't remove layers, this is the trick. We will try to blend between layers, between brush strokes, and then use new colors to blend again in different layers. And for example, if you want to change some color in some part, like in that case, because I didn't want the dust or rust I did, just blend over it to change the color, to move a bit. Another tip for this. Sometimes I said that if you paint with lighter colors or light colors with a lot of white, then the result will be completely white. The pigment, the color, the saturation, all of this will disappear. So to fix that, and you want to use a turquoise, I recommend you use a different turquoise, darker with more pigment, or add a bit of blue to change a bit the color, because the result will be completely turquoise and you will have pigment. If you use a light turquoise, maybe the result will be whiter than you thought. So to fix that, remember that. Here is the example I said. Some parts will be to reinforce the turquoise reflections and some will be to create mid shadows. Ta-da-da-da! Okay, if you thought that we can paint something darker, you'll see it now. We can add more shadows on the shadows to reinforce them, the darkest shadows. If you see, will be little points. Remember, if you reinforce the lights and the shadows, you will get different values with light and with white and black, and the result about the non-metallic will be better, because you can get a high contrast on the same material. But for sure, not everything have the same contrast. because you have to think about the volumes and about the atmosphere or ambient. If you feel that in some moments you lose the color, you can add again a new color. If you think that you want something warm for that miniature, add yellow or orange and will be perfect. If in some moments you want to create something darker, you can use inks, okay? The inks will have more powerful than the acrylic color. So if you want to create something deeper, please use inks, but take care because the result will be glossy. So if you add matte varnish into an ink, you will lose this. So if you want to create something deeper, the result should be a bit of glossy. I hope currently you start to like this non-metallic. Because now more or less we are in the mid of this video tutorial, so the result should be done more or less. Remember that I have a secret for this video tutorial at the end, because I'm going to show you how to use the brush again after the airbrush. Yes, after the airbrush we will back to use the brush. But keep calm again. Okay, this is the moment to use the brush again. I hope you enjoyed blending with the brush. I hope you have spent maybe few time painting with the airbrush and everything is done perfectly, but I would like to give you more information how to continue improving this non-metallic. So now you have blended everything, but I want to give you some tips. So now with the brush we will use ivory and we'll reinforce again the edges. We want to repaint some edges, maybe in the middle of them. Think about a sphere, a cylinder, something like that. Don't paint the edge again. Just paint where you need to create these brights. If you see well on this video tutorial, now you can start to see the difference when I paint with the ivory and where I didn't paint. For example, on the chest, you can see the differences. Remember, if you create this kind of dots, will work as brights. So I like them because the result looks more like a non-metallic metal, a true non-metallic metal. always paint all the details, because the miniature will be tiny and these kind of details will be tiny too. So please paint them, because if you didn't paint them, then the result maybe won't be complete. Maybe it will look like you are a bit lazy, so please paint them. Because if you paint them, the result it's like you can see on your screen. And remember, some parts you will reinforce with ivory because you want to create the highest light on this kind of edges. But in some of them where you have mid-tones or shadows as mid-toned, different areas where you have less light to create this kind of contrast, please don't paint with ivory. Use different colors like yellows, something more saturated, to create both some edges with a lot of light and some of them with a lot of color. With this you will get different result, different information. You won't lose the saturation where you didn't have color, and you will create more light where you have color and light. This video tutorial is full of tips. Capi tips. For example, here you can see how I create new reflection or reinforce some of them with more color, saturated color. And please don't forget paint this kind of light laning. Don't forget the areas where you have shadows, or this kind of mid-tones, more darker, because if you don't paint this kind of edges, then will look like I said previous. You're a bit lazy. What do you think now? Start to work? If you see, I create different dots with different colors to create different kind of brights. Won't forget these kind of details on the armor. And again, reinforce with ivory to get more light. Light, light, light. More and more. Think that if you paint with ivory everywhere, then you will lose the mid-tones. Let me explain you. Maybe you are thinking that I didn't paint with ivory everywhere, and maybe you thought that I have to paint in other parts where I didn't do it. This is a mistake, because if everything have the same light, then you are losing some mid-tones. Some areas you can have the light that you have because work perfectly, and in others where you want to create more attention, focus the attention, you have to create more light with this kind of ivory. Sometimes less is more. The details again. take care about this because the shoulder, it's hard to paint, so keep calm. If you want to represent a non-metallic here, take care because there are a lot of details with the teeth, for example, and it's hard. Don't forget the feet, okay? I hope you can start to love this miniature, start to love this video tutorial, and you start to want to paint a non-metallic like this. If you are worried, don't worry, please. Start to paint. Just that. Start to paint and enjoy. Don't think about fears of everything. Don't feel that the result is not like you thought. Just paint, enjoy, and then the result will start to appear. You have on this video tutorial all the tools that you need to create this. Remember, to get this result, the edges will be one of the key to create a non-metallic. Remember that because the dark lining and light lining will be super important to define the miniature. But to create the non-metallic, have a sharp edges with a lot of light will be maybe the key. And don't forget the short. Paint all the edges. Okay, as you see, paint the edge thin, okay? And for sure, if I didn't do or if I didn't say, I would like to say again. In my Patreon, on my way to paint, for sure you can paint with white, pure white, yeah, you heard well, pure white and pure black. Here is an example. I used pure white to reinforce the maximum lights, the highest lights, to focus the attention where I want and create this kind of non-metallics. So now you can see all the tricks on this video tutorial, and here you have some places where you have to use this pure white. So I hope you have enjoyed watching this video tutorial. I hope you can paint this kind of non-metallic metals, and I hope you will surprise me with your talent painting a miniature. So thank you very much. I hope I can give you more video tutorials like this or better, and see you in the next video tutorial or next streaming. Thank you very much for all your support, and I hope see you the next year. Thank you very much. Bye bye.